Hi, I'm Graham Blackburn, and this is Traditional Woodworking by Hand. And continuing our series of going through one of the many books that I've written that talk about the basic woodworking tools, we're now up to the point where we're going to be talking about squares and a little bit about bevels. As my father used to say, if you can't make a square, how are you going to make a cabinet? Well, it's true that in the old days, most people made their own tools, and for the longest time, most woodworkers, whether they were carpenters or joiners or furniture makers or whatever, they did in fact make their own wooden squares. But we've come a long way since then, and for the most part now, it's probably easier to buy squares. There are two basic kinds. There's this kind that probably most people are familiar with. This is the modern Stanley type. It has a square here, so you can mark a perfect square, and it has a 45 degree here, so you can make 45 degrees. The rule itself, different manufacturers put different graduations on there. I tend not to use that very much, but if I wanted to make a square mark 1 inch from the end, all I have to do is to set the square to the 1 inch, and now, bingo, I can square 1 inch mark. So this is the most common kind of bevel, and it's actually quite good, because apart from the rule with the various measurements on there and the fact that it's adjustable from end to end, and you can turn it over if you want to look at the measurements on this side, they're usually different. These also typically have a pin which can be used for marking, whether you're doing this. The pin is quite useful. We've talked about marking before and how I prefer to mark with single beveled cutting edges, but nevertheless that's a useful pin. The other thing that many, if not most of these have, is a little level. So if you look here, you can see there's a little bubble level. So by putting this like this, or even holding that down there, I can tell whether the surface is perfectly level. This then is today probably the most common kind of bevel used by carpenters and woodworkers and furniture makers. But here is actually another variation. It's the same basic tool, but this one has a right angled piece that slides up and down. And this is good if you want to make a perfect mitre. This will cut you a mitre on either side. Plus, of course, you can use it with the pin that comes in the back here, and you can use it with the bevel if you're trying to make sure that something is perfectly vertical. So these are the two most common kinds of bevels that we use nowadays. But for the longest time, good quality bevels, other than those that people would make on their own, were these beautiful little things. And if you look in the chapter on bevels in the book that I wrote about all these different tools, which by the way you can get from my website, all you have to do is send me a check or call me up. The prices are all there, and it's only $9 whether shipping, whether you order one or more books, and they all come signed. This has chapters, whole chapters on squares and bevels, and I can recommend that if you really want to get into that, that's a good thing to buy. In the meantime, I want to thank everybody who subscribed, because the subscription rate is what helps make this a really good channel. Anyway, back to the nice 19th century squares. They come, the first thing to realize is that they're really beautiful. They're typically made out of rosewood with a brass face here and a steel square. And they come in a wide variety of sizes. Here's a little tiny one that you can see. I can use this if I pick myself up a scratch all here for a moment. use this, like this, move it along. One thing that I should point out though, when you're squaring a line across a piece of wood, if you've taken the trouble to measure exactly where you're going, a very common mistake that a lot of people do is they try and put the square next to the line, and then they put the knife or whatever it is they're going to make the groove with up against the square. That is not always exact. It's better, after you've measured this precisely, to put the marking tool on the line and then push the square up to the line. Now you can square all the way around. One other mistake that people make is they do this, and then if they want to saw the end off and make sure it's square, they'll put this in, they'll turn it around, and they'll put the square up to the line, and they'll square across here, and then, and this is the mistake, they continue all the way around, only to find that when they do the last one, this line no longer aligns with the first line. So what's the answer? It's you square across, and you square down one side, then you square down the other side, and if the wood is not absolutely perfectly rectangular, you'll find that now you have to bend this just a little bit. The advantage of that is that then when you do saw that off, the end is in one plane. So that's a mistake that a lot of people make. Anyway, these, as I said before, come really small. They come moderately sized. I have a whole bunch more. You choose whichever is most convenient. And they come really large. Here's a giant one. You'll notice that this one also has a little pin in there. That's because if I'm squaring something with this square and I don't have the pin, it's easy to do this, but the pin is there to hold the blade perfectly flat on the wood. So the really big ones have an extra little pin here. So that's your basic square. Now, the other thing that you need to know is the square is only as good as it is square. How do you tell if it's square? It's very easy, and I'll do this with a pencil. Not that I like to use pencils, but just so you can see a little easier. If you take a square and you put it on the wood and you draw a line, you might think that's square, but the way to test it is now to turn the square over and attempt to draw another line. Now, if the line is perfectly parallel or on the line that you marked, it is square. But if you get something like this, where you see the two lines converge, then you know that the blade is no longer perfectly square to the stock. What's the answer? Carefully put it in the vise, and with a file you can draw down to what it makes it square. And by the way, I just showed you this doing on the outside, but it's useful to do it on the inside of the square too. A square that is square both on the outside and the inside is twice as useful as one that's only square on the outside. Here, a little worse for wear, but this is called a Machinist square, and this is supposedly really accurate. But still, the same way of testing it is to do this. But these are made much more carefully. The last square I want to mention is one that carpenters are familiar with, although in this day and age of computers, I doubt that many carpenters totally understand all these obscure markings here. All these different things are to enable you to not only make square marks here, but also to gauge the right angle of the overhangs and the eaves and all the other things. So this is a carpenter's framing square. Nevertheless, if yours is square, which you can test by doing this and then turning it over, it can be useful in furniture making if you want to square off a really big piece of wood. One last thing, and we probably will go into this in more depth in future episodes, but it's vaguely related here, is a square that has a movable blade. What, you say? What's a movable blade? Well, actually, that's called a bevel. Now, these also used to be made by hand, but what the bevel is good for is that you can make any kind of angle you want, steep or narrow. You can, for example, if you want to make dovetails, you could set this like this, and now you have something. If you put it along here, you can mark the angle of the dovetail. These tend to be two different kinds. This is a more modern version, and you'll notice that the blade is inset into the handle. It's in the middle of the handle. The older ones is also the same thing, but it's secured by a nut, which means that it's very easy to use it this way, but it's very hard to use it this way. We'll talk more about bevels in future and maybe demonstrate even how to make some and set them up for special purposes, but they kind of belong to the same basic family as squares. They're tools for measuring angles, whether they're square or whether they're angled. So I hope all that helps. And as I said before, if you want to know more, all you have to do is to go to the website and buy the book. Come back next time and we'll talk about something else, the next chapter in the book. So I hope your layout gets better because of now what you know. Thanks for watching.